What's up everyone, my name is Christopher Schauf and in this video I'm talking to Nazim Agabekov, who is one of the most successful consultants for people who want to scale their business from 6 to 7 or even to 8 figures. And I have the honor of personally working with Nazim, so in this conversation we're gonna explore how to grow your business, what in online marketing has changed, and what are the bottlenecks people who want to grow their business, entrepreneurs, need to look at and how to fix them if they want to grow their business. Nazim really has a special approach when it comes to analyzing businesses and really simplifying what needs to be done. Honestly say, it's a pleasure talking to him. We meet every Monday working on our business, and we took an hour of our time to sit down to really dig deep and get out his juices and his experience. So this is something you really do not want to miss if you want to grow your business, if you're stuck somewhere between 6 to 7 figure, or even if you want to start out. We had some amazing nuggets. Let's just have fun. For everyone who doesn't know me, my name is Christopher Schauf. I'm the head of growth of a multi-7-figure business consultancy on the German-speaking market. I also run my own agency where I use performance marketing to help people to attract the right talent for their business, and also how to hire, how to manage, how to onboard, all the good stuff. I'm just doing these videos to document my own growth and to share some of my learnings with you. And the birds are going crazy, so let's jump in the call with Nazim. All right, then. Let's start right into it. Nazim, an honor to talk to you, I would say.
Thanks.
Even though my Monday, since a couple of months now, starts usually with you and that we sit down for a couple of hours, nonetheless, I'm always looking forward, and this time we are taking a little bit more time to talk about your experience, not only growing your own business, but you're somewhat of, I don't know if you have that saying in English, but a gray eminence in the background. You're like king's maker.
Kind of.
Yeah, it is kind of what you're doing. Maybe you can just, in a few sentences, sum up who you are, what you are doing, what is your part, your current step in the journey.
Well, my name is Nazim. Hi, I'm a marketing consultant, and I basically help businesses figure out difficult bottlenecks with a data-centric approach that basically makes everything easy and dumbs everything down to a few important bottlenecks. Again, based on numbers and data, and without having to basically scramble for and doing like a lot of unnecessary things, and dumbing everything down to 20% of decisions. In terms of marketing, sales, and advertising, they'll get people 80% results. This is probably not the fanciest sort of like sales proposition or USP. And every time I talk about my services like that, people say, yeah, no, you should, tell everyone that you just 10x their businesses and stuff like that. And I kind of do that as well. If you obviously go on my website, shameless plug, nazimconsulting.com, you'll see some of the amazing case studies. 2 8-figure businesses, I don't know, like over 10 7-figure businesses I've helped grow. But basically, this is my methodology, because I started out as can I go on like a longer thing? And
Absolutely.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. So I basically started 8 years ago as an advertising specialist. I was pretty good at it, but I basically realized as soon as I lost my first client, and ad campaigns were killing it, but I still lost the client because something was wrong. Their bottom line was off, their revenues, and they had to basically kill off and stop the advertising campaigns. And I realized that basically, if it goes like this, I will not have a strong control over client retention. And most importantly, what does it matter if my ads are good if business's bottom line is still suffering, or it can still go down? And for me, I've always been the kind of person to kind of like finish things, everything to the final result, like the big result. I didn't want to just be responsible for advertising. Although that was kind of like fun at first, I wanted to make sure that my clients, first and foremost, actually made money. I'm very ROI centric, right? And because of that, I realized that advertising alone wouldn't be enough. So I kind of like started going up the ladder. If you look at running a profitable business, which entails advertising, then it's marketing, then it's sales, then it's product pricing and packaging, aka earnings per client, or client lifetime value. So I basically started kind of like dipping my feet into those areas as well, getting an expert in those as well, personally consulting my clients, going to masterminds, and really trying to pick the brains of people who were masters in that specific area. And I kind of distilled everything down in me. There's a saying, a jack of all trades and master of none. It's a bit the opposite in my experience, because yeah, I would say I'm an expert in a few of these elements, such as advertising, for example, and product packaging and stuff like that. But still, I would define myself as not the ultimate master, but like a very good expert in all those areas, and that basically what allows me to have a more holistic view at a business, not just in terms of front end acquisition, client acquisition, such as advertising or funnels, but also, because it's not just advertising, because then how the funnel converts those clicks into leads, and then how sales process convert, and then how the funnel converts leads into prospects, and how sales convert prospects into sales, and then how the product value kind of like takes all the sales and makes sure that the client gets to earn, a good chunk of money. So yeah, I guess that's what I do, right? And all these tracking sheets that I've been incorporating with you guys as well is just a means to an end in terms of like having a very simple overview of all these elements of your business, and then seeing what's in the red and attacking those, right? And when I work with teams, there's marketing experts like yourself, then there's other people on the company team for sales, and then for something else. So we calculate what's off, and then I work with the specific department experts in companies, businesses, to kind of like work on the red parts or elements or sections of the business. So yeah, that's basically what I do.
First of all, it's very funny what you say, because I'm doing these conversations out of totally selfish reasons. Like, I want to talk to interesting people longer, and this is just a format where I have the opportunity, and I record it for myself so I can rewatch it. And what you just described was me when I was starting my recruitment marketing agency, where I used performance marketing, like the basics of online marketing, to actually drive applications to my clients. And I was always doing more than everyone else on the market, because I felt like it is not only the advertising. Like, it's not enough if I bring leads to a client. It's also, okay, how's the evaluation going? How's the hiring process going? How's the onboarding going? How's the retention going? It's the first time I realized that, because you are saying that. And second of all, as someone who works with you, I think the only people who don't think your bottleneck-centric approach and your number-based approach is not sexy is people who have not been through the pain of having a bottleneck,
Yeah.
not knowing how to fix that.
Right. Yeah. No, it's just, usually marketers, my fellow marketers get it, right? But then people who are not hardcore into marketing, they have a more washed out view of what's of the definition of what's sexy. But it's fine, like you said, a lot of times people who come and work with me, they know me for and value me for the specific thing I do. So because again, like you said, they experience that specific problem, I'm helping them to solve. So yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I was surprised myself when Thorsten talked about you. I obviously did some research when we considered approaching you and asking if you would be willing to work with us again. Has to be said that you're in a position where you can actually make that kind of decisions. Do you want to work with someone or not? And I thought, like, okay, this guy, he is a marketing expert. He really knows how to market the business, position it, run the ads. And now that we worked together for a couple of months now, I actually know from my own experience that you are actually helping us in not only marketing, you help us in management, you help us in sales, you help us in tracking. We sit together every Monday, and you also helped me in personal things now and then when it was the bottleneck for getting the business to growth. So I actually really appreciate that. You had a very amazing interview with Stephen Redhead, I think was his name. I found that in the preparation of our conversation. And you talked about that we only have this one time on this planet, maybe, who knows.
Mhm.
And I like to practice some stoicism myself and remember myself, I will die. And so I should
Yeah.
enjoy the ride. Why do you do what you do?
The reason I do what I do is very simple. For me, business is like a computer game. For me, it's my gambling. It's my World of Warcraft, whatever you want to call it. For me, it's a hobby. That's why I feel like I never work. I literally never worked a second in my life because for me, again, when I open those sheets and I look at my clients' bottom lines, it's a game. I look at at the metrics and it's 350% ROI they made. I'm like, what can we do so we can level up to 450, right? So do we get some extra body armor in terms of marketing or some, I don't know, better shoes in terms of sales? I'm not a gamer myself. Yeah, basically for me it's a fun game, business, and it's a fun game with very serious rules, right? It requires a lot of discipline and being meticulous, being on point, being able to make hard, difficult decisions. But as far as growing my clients' businesses goes, yeah, for me it's just a game, and I think the day I'll stop having fun with it, I'll go and do something else. But for now, yeah, it's just for me, yeah, like if 6 to 8 hours a day I get to play my favorite game. It's just that it just so happens that the money we make are real money and not some game money. But for me, that I don't really care. So
Yeah, that sounds like a very healthy approach. And the more we enjoy doing something, the longer we want to do it and the better we get
yeah.
at it. So actually good for you and good for your clients. Helping all these businesses grow part 6, 7, you have already talked at 8 figures. What were some of your key experiences that changed the way you work?
Oh man, that's a great question. I would say like one of the bigger changes was at the very beginning when I basically realized that advertising is not everything, and I started looking at business sort of like across the board. Honestly, like it didn't even take me that long to understand how a business operates. I think it took me like 2 hours where I just got out a piece of paper and a pen, and I pretty much you just map out, what happens from a moment a person is not aware of you at all, and then when he makes that payment, and that's it basically, right? You map out the entire process down to he clicks, he goes on the page, and then he considers to signing up, and then he gets on the thank you page. Basically all that process. I would say this was my biggest realization, really, that I asked myself, do I want to be an advertising specialist? And in a way, in the very beginning, my identity was of an advertising specialist. Everybody comes to me as a Facebook ad specialist, although I haven't touched any ads, like personally managing for clients in over 4 years now, close to 4 years, maybe 3 years. But people still come to me as a Facebook ads person, and it's been so ingrained in my identity so much. But every day I'm just realizing that I'm more of a numbers person. Advertising is just means to an end, and I would say that that's the second realization, that all of these things like funnels, click funnels and this funnel and webinar funnel and ad this, ad that, TikTok ad, whatever is trending now, those things are just tools. Those things are means to an end. And the end is, again, the bottom line, client's bottom line, revenue. That's why I like to look at a business in terms of I like to call, the way I like to put it is that business is a mathematical equation with a few constants that never change, right? A top level equation is marketing plus sales plus product equals revenue, right? Then you can flesh it out, and then out of each of those constants, little elements come out like a matryoshka, this Russian doll, right? And then those things are kind of variables, right? Because marketing can be a Facebook ad. Marketing is then traffic plus other elements, and then traffic can be a Facebook ad or a TikTok ad or a YouTube ad or SEO, organic traffic, or man, whatever, right? Like someone gives you a shout out on Instagram, that's traffic as well. Now those things are variables, right? But those variables are a makeup component of like one solid constant. So yeah, and once I think once you make this realization, everything becomes so simple and easy. I think for a lot of people, business is something they have to read books, they have to read biographies of billionaires, which is an amazing thing. I'm going through a great book myself now from Steven Schwartzman. It's called All It Takes. It's a great book, highly recommended. It's just fun read. But like my point is, business is not difficult at all. It's actually stupid simple, and people, like to somehow overcomplicate it. Because I don't know, we like to overcomplicate our lives, or maybe that we're because we refuse to believe that business is simple, right? And yeah, yeah. Did I cut off? Sorry, was all right.
No, no, no. Yeah, I maybe I had this thought myself, and maybe it has something to do with school. Maybe it has something to do with the culture we get from our parents, that we think entrepreneurship, creating business needs to be complicated. It needs to be hard. It's something, yeah, unachievable for most of us. So when we start on our journey, we think like, oh, it has to, my solution to my problem needs to be something super complicated, when in fact, if you break it down, it is very simple. You need to have a good offer, you need to know your market, you need to have people know about you and drive them through the whole process. Something that I have already asked you a few weeks ago, where I really liked your answer, and I would like to ask you again, so I have it on record, is what do you think is the most important thing that successful people, successful businesses are not doing what others are?
Okay, that's interesting. So what they're doing differently that others not so successful businesses are doing. That's great, man. Honestly, like one of the first, and it's not a shameless plug or anything like that. I think they actually go and work with specialists, and I'm not talking about like a coaching mastermind, which is amazing. I'm in a mastermind, but I'm talking about like actually going to experts, and to so that those experts can. Experts like you and myself, right? So those experts can help their solve their bottlenecks. I would say like that's number one. Number two is again like I can't really say. I can't, again, I'm not blowing my horn here, but I haven't really heard anyone talk of business like from at least from a marketing point of view as a mathematical equation, or like just a string of numbers and then your ability to just tweak them leading to a big result. I haven't heard a specific billionaire or whatever talk about it, but I feel like they kind of see it that way, right? So that would be another thing. And I would say actually third, I have two more, and it's going to be business specific. I think you'll like it. Number three is sales. They're amazing at sales, like sales carousel, and this comes from someone who is biased towards advertising because I come from from advertising background. But like all those 8-figure clients I have and high 7-figure guys, they're all like very sales centric, amazing sales processes, amazing follow up. And then number two is customer lifetime value, aka earnings per client. Like if you really want to have a high impact business, again, from my perspective, if you again run a service-based business, I don't work, for example, with e-commerce source, although maybe one day I will. I just feel like this mathematical equation of business is universal. It's just learning the tools for that industry that's required when you get into somewhere new. But like yeah, especially if you run a service-based business, making sure that you have an amazing product that you can sell for a high, for a high price or for great value, and that you also smartly structure the offers ascension, which really means you make sure that the client stays around with you for as long as possible and buys more stuff from you, right? And this is the biggest game changer I think I've done with you guys, right? I think your customer lifetime value went from like 6 to 7,000 $6,000-7,000, it went up to like $15,000-20,000 or €20,000. I think this was like the biggest game changer, right? And it's actually the easiest thing to tweak, the customer lifetime value, earnings per client, because all you have to do is just maybe add a few extra add-ons and then know how to sell it better for a higher price. That's it, right? Like, I'd much rather see my clients deliver amazing work, like maybe even, like tailored or different with some amazing USPs than their competitors, but then charge double for it, right? Because it's a service in the at the end. We're not selling. It's not race to the bottom in terms of automating it as much as possible, like you would by selling a wolf mug or Christmas socks or something. There, right? You probably want to actually optimize the cost per good sold, your manufacturing prices, and then there's always those Danish socks brands that sell their socks for $10. I get that, but what is it called? Happy Socks. Yeah, they sell them for $15 a pop. Not really my cup of tea, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you're selling services, focus on packaging it well, that it delivers great results, it packs a punch in terms of value, and then you sell it accordingly, right? For high prices. So I would say these are kind of like, if you look at the service-based businesses I work with, coaches, consultants, agencies, I would say this probably customer lifetime value and the ability to charge as much as possible over a long-term period of time is the most important element, and sales.
It is, while you were talking, I mean, like, you can probably not see that, but I'm nodding all the time because it is so accurate, and I have seen that so many times. And then, I mean, that we are running the show several times a week, and there are people who are just starting out to come to us, and people who already have like 5-6 figure even. Why are people so afraid of sales, and why do people go to so much length to avoid making sales? Like with my recruitment agency, I got paid so well, like 5-figure amounts from one client just to set up the whole funnel for them, the whole hiring, marketing. And I got my clients from 30 minutes a day, cold outreach. Like, I was just calling them up saying, hey, I saw that you were running some ads. Are you happy with the results? No, great. Should I help you to fix that? Yeah, let's hop on a call. So many people just go and waste so much effort just to avoid having to sell. And it's crazy how much people are afraid, because if you cannot sell, you don't have a business.
Right. I mean, I think the biggest reason is, honestly, I think a lot of people are just simply not that sold on what they're selling themselves. That was at least even like one of the bigger things. I sell my services as well. And I've been I've launched a couple of businesses around marketing and sales. And I would say like one of the most important things was actually really believing in services that I provided, and that they bring great value to my clients. I would say that that's number one. Number two, I mean, look, I can go on the whole spiel of talking about fear of rejection and all of that, right? But I think I'm just going to stop on really believing in what you're selling, because like, I think people can go to far, like great lengths of leaving their comfort zones if it's something that they really believe in. And I just know it from my personal experience. Like when I started selling something that really fell in line with me, yeah. I mean, I would, like you said, call up. I would even call up 8-figure company heads and just have a normal conversation, right? Because if you're really, and I would say, okay, maybe like this is an extra bonus I'm gonna throw in there as not like a reason, but more like advice. If you really believe in what you're selling and you know how it can solve another business's pain point or problem, if you know that they're really struggle with this point and it's an important point, right? There's no reason for you not to pick up the phone and call, because like you're gonna get a very warm reaction. Now, if you're selling life insurance, yeah, it's a bit, it's kind of like a numbers game, and I can't really give advice for that. because I never did that. But like if you're selling, if you're a consultant or a service provider, an agent, whatever, right? And you know that you are providing a very good service. I can give a great example from a friend of mine here in Prague. He runs I live in Prague, and he runs like one of the bigger recruitment agencies here in Prague, where he basically helps company heads place IT staff, IT professionals in their companies. And he says the biggest bottleneck in his business is not sales. The biggest bottleneck in his business is really finding good candidates he can place. For him, sales is just a matter of picking up the phone and calling any company, any really, and just saying, "Hey, we have some IT people. Are you interested?" And everybody is interested in IT staff. They're crazy about it, right? Just gonna drop an f bomb, but like basically, yeah, like for him, he knows it's something valuable, and he just phones them, and that's it. There's no reason to be anxious about it or fear, because it's something valuable. He knows that people need it, and that's it, right? Last bit of advice I would say, again, it's sort of an advice. I would say, yeah, I would just even recommend this book or autobiographies from billionaires, and reading one from Stephen Schwarzman. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right correctly. But yeah, you read through autobiographies from these people, and you see how easy it is to reach out to people and just connect. Even in his youth, he would just call up, principals at Oxford and Yale and whatever, with simple propositions or asks, right? And he was never scolded for it or whatever, right? He would be either turned down, and if even if it was turned down, he would explain to them his point, and a lot of times they would change their mind, because again, it's like the most important is that you need to really be sold on what you want, right? On what you're selling. Even if you're, I guess, selling life insurance, you really need to sell yourself on the fact that you're selling something important. I would say this is a reality for a lot of people. There's a small subset of people who can sell anything, and they don't even have to believe in it, right? For them, selling is like a sport in a way, right? For me, I've always been a person who needs to believe in what he's selling, to really be good at it. Like probably be even better than the person who doesn't have to believe in what he's selling and is just doing it as a sport. That's our superpower. But you really need to believe in it. So
I think this is a super important point, and you created a great segue for a question that I still have for you. I feel like over the past years, there was a rising influx of people who wanted to have the great life of an online business, of an online entrepreneur, but who were lacking the skill set to actually provide value for their clients. And you talked about actually believing in what you can do for your clients. And sure, part of that is believing in your ability to figure things out. That was one of my biggest mindset shifts that enabled me to create more momentum, to not only rely off my trust that I can do things, but also in my trust that, all right, I will figure it out. I know I can help someone because I can figure it out. But still, you need to have fundamental abilities and skills to really help someone.
yeah.
And this leads to my questions. You've been around for a while now. And how do you think digital marketing, online marketing has changed in the last few years? And what does that mean for someone who wants to grow his business right now?
But here, that's the thing, right? It's quite funny how your question is tied to what I just said. Not just, but in the beginning of the interview, how it's the same mathematical equation. Marketing didn't change. Tools changed maybe, but marketing or businessmanship, it didn't change. It's the same: marketing plus sales plus product. Going back to the first part of your question, like for people who want to start something of their own, and what would be the best tip for that? If we're talking about someone who's like super new, a lot of people, the way they start a business is based off of their track record in the companies they worked in or whoever they work for. For example, for me, The reason I started my advertising agency was because I'm an advertising specialist in another company. So I just broke off, and it was an easy decision for me to kind of like set out on my own and to start an agency. If you're a business consultant, again, the natural decision is to break off. If you want to work for yourself, you break off, and then you take some, you kind of like, yeah, start your own consulting firm or consultancy. But if we're talking about someone who's just like a blank piece of paper, I would say you have to plug yourself in somewhere. Get a job, um, invest in a course, and get your first free beta clients, right? And as far as what do you need to plug yourself into, there's no easy answer to that. You need to try. Maybe you should ask yourself whatever you have propensity for. For me, I may look like it, but I actually don't like to talk a lot. I that's why I cram all of my calls for Mondays with clients, so then I can just breathe out and exhale out and not have to worry about it for too much for the rest of the 6 days. But if you have propensity or an inclination to talk a lot, you like it, you enjoy it, you like maybe psychology of it as well, sales, great. If you're more technical, numbers oriented, advertising, great. If you're techie, yeah, I don't know, web design agency or something. That's this answer is going to depend on your propensity or your inclinations or your natural skills that you may have noticed in yourself. Or again, you just take whatever you have from as your past track record, and you just naturally start that. And the third is like if we're talking about like a grand business idea, and I would say this is how like some of the best companies have been born, is when you, and we're talking about like creating an actual product, not like an agency or a service based thing, but like an actual system that, for example, right, my whole life I've been a consultant, but I'm rolling out something new. It's called an EQ system, and it's about teaching SMBs on how to use numbers, the same way that Deloitte does it, but not on such high level, higher scale, but like something simpler, but still something data centric and numbers oriented that they can use to make correct decisions. And the few 20% of decisions that will make or impact 80% of results, right? Kind of like what we're implementing with you guys. Yeah, very similar to that, right? Something that will help you simplify your decision making, and really go and attack the points that really matter in your business that will really grow your bottom line. But how I came up with this idea was that I looked at my past track record working with clients. I looked at what's lacking in the industry, and I came up with that. And I would say that's really how some of the best business ideas have been born, out of the lack in the marketplace and someone's ability to kind of like really spot that, and most importantly then implement on it, right? Execute on this idea, um, yeah, successfully. So yeah, I don't know if, and then yeah, I guess the last part of the question is what has changed and how it's impacting, what has changed in business management or marketing and how it's impacting businesses. I just feel like it's the same old marketing equation. In the 70s, it was telesales, and then it was maybe I don't know, like lumpy mail, and then kind of like mail, actual, not email, but like mail marketing. And then it was something else. Then it was television, telemarketing, and then TV market. So like, man, there's a lot of tools. Pick your favorite one, right? And as far as what's the app or what's the platform for now goes, I don't even want to bring it up, because in a month from now or 2 months from now, if some of your viewers are going to be watching this video, it's not going to be relevant anymore, whatever I talk about now. Yeah, I think that's why it's the most important is to educate people on the fundamentals of business that are very simple, and once you get it, you really got 80%. Now you just have to pick out of the 15,000 tools that are available on the market. LinkedIn bots, LinkedIn messaging, email bots, there's so many, right? Most importantly, I like to bring up this analogy. Anyone can take a shovel and start shoveling, right? Shoveling for gold. But very few people actually have the map where they need to start shoveling so they actually get to the gold. So it's not really about shoveling. Anyone can do that. It's really about knowing where precisely you need to start digging. So
yeah, it's funny that you talk about not wanting to list any specific tools or platforms or medias, and then you just did it for a brief second. And funny enough, LinkedIn bots no longer a thing.
yeah,
Like
right.
already this changed
Since
over
like
the
a
last
few
few
weeks
weeks.
ago.
It's no longer a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
just funny. But yeah, the car is changing. Now you have electric vehicles, but fundamentally it's something with an engine, whatever kind, and four wheels. That's what makes a car, and that is not
Yeah.
changing. So if you understand that, you know what you have to do in business. And I'm absolutely thrilled that you are gonna create a product or a service or an app about this number-based approach.
Yeah, it's going to be sort of like done with your consulting service because until now my services have only been available to 5 clients at a time. And what I want to do is roll out a coaching program, if you will. But it's not going to be just coaching where you get your logins and whatever roll up to calls every week. But it's going to be there's going to be a done for you implementation part where we'll actually come and implement these tracking systems that will help you make some of the smart decisions in your business, and then we'll consult and coach you on a one-on-one basis as well as a group basis on how you actually then implement the solutions. Because the process of fixing your business bottlenecks and then growing it, it's a two-step process. You first have to identify the problem. That's why we need to track data, and then we kind of like compare it to the industry standards, and then this is how we know if our departments are up to par or not. And then it's the solution for me, funny enough, it's the easiest part. The most important is to really determine like what's happening in the business right now. Are sales is the sales a problem, or we're making too little money per client and we need to up that. And yeah, basically in this program, it's going to be aimed at helping SMBs, small mid-sized businesses, who are struggling with the business bottlenecks, who are struggling to grow specifically. Also, imagine this scenario: if you're making like $30,000 to $50,000 a month, something like that, and you want to go to 100, 200, 500,000, a million a month, it's going to be impossible without knowing where you are now. So you have to so you course correct. If you want to scale, it's not a lot of people make it seem like, oh, you just need to have more leads and you just keep everything the same. No, it's not. It's a very non-linear process, but you could straighten it out as much as possible by course correcting. And course correcting is really a process of kind of like spotting yourself when you're slipping off in terms of sales rate, in terms of ads rate, in terms of all that stuff. And then you basically, it's like sailing a ship, right? You always have to hold the compass in your hand to kind of like keep holding it, and always per the compass actually roll the steering wheel to make sure that you're always on track. Maybe I should just call it the compass, the program, but that's a good idea. But
Yeah,
basically,
you're welcome. That is a great idea.
yeah, yeah. Basically, that's going to be it. Finding the business bottlenecks that are standing in the business ways to grow, fixing them so then the business can grow indefinitely.
I mean, as someone who had the joy running through these processes with you, I can say I'm absolutely thrilled for you to open this service, because it has literally changed our business, and it has changed the way I think about certain areas of the business and how to actually figure out what is the bottleneck and what has to be done
Mhm.
about it. And I always tell our coaching clients or the people I work with, you learn very shallowly or very specifically when it's about you. But that's why I love these kind of conversations. It is way easier to get a deep learning when it's about someone else. So he listened to you talk about it when it's not actually about my business, and I don't have to stress
Mm.
out about the performance about my
Yeah.
business. I know I can take a lot away from this. Yeah, that when are you gonna open, or
So yeah,
how can
what I
I
would
look it up?
recommend
How can
is,
I know more about it?
yeah, of course. So what I would recommend is actually anyone who's interested, I'm inviting you guys to attend a webinar that I'll be holding on February the 23rd. What should be, what day is it on?
A week and a
On
half.
Wednesday. Yeah, next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central European time. And basically on this webinar, I'll actually go through the how the system works, and most importantly, how I arrived at this conclusion of starting this business, and also how you can basically take the system and use it to dissolve any whatever bottleneck you have in your business that you feel like is hiding away from you. You can pinpoint it whenever you try to grow your business. It's like pouring a bunch of water into like a leaky bucket. Like you just spend tons of advertising and all that, and then you just still end up losing somehow money. The leads are not that great. Sales teams start performing poorly. Like you actually end up losing money, or it doesn't work. You can't scale. Highly recommend that you attend this webinar again on February the 23rd, next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central European time. And I'll basically go through the entire system, or you can obviously always go to nazimconsulting.com and inquire about my services there. But yeah, this has been a pleasure, man. Thank you for giving me sort of like a stage to talk on.
Always a pleasure, and I will definitely try to attend. This should be the time where we usually have our show, but maybe I can, someone in the team try to take over for me so I can take part
Sure.
in your live webinar, because I genuinely want to learn more about what you're offering, because every time you open your mouth and I listen, I learn something important that I can use for my business or my life. We are almost out of time, and I am thinking about which question I would love to ask the last. We talked a little bit earlier about what things beginners need to look out for, and maybe let's end on something like, what is the biggest trap for people who are advanced, so who are already doing six figure, or maybe even seven? And I'm very egoistical here, because I think from your answer I can take something away,
Yeah,
like I always have been able.
course. The fact that you're doing 7, 8, or even 9 figures doesn't mean that the solution, like a way to grow your business or solve your business bottlenecks is not simple. Doesn't matter if you're 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, 10 figures, 15 figures. It's still the same equation: marketing, sales, product value. Then you basically flesh it out per your business, right? You say, okay, marketing, what are the makeups of that? Sales, what are the makeups of that? And then you measure the performance in each one, and that's it. It's that simple. You're running 8 figures, you want to go to 9 figures. All you have to do is create like a sort of like come up with some numbers that you would have to hit extra to go to 9 figures, and also the easiest way to do that. But that's it. You only have to ever improve up to, maybe, if you really flesh it out, up to 10 numbers maximum in your business. You don't have to, it doesn't take some ancient wisdom or some cutting edge app or whatever. That's actually, you should stay away from that, because it might give you a disadvantage, an unfair advantage now, but those things at some point they stop working. But guess what? As you grow, your overhead also starts stacking up. But as those things stop working, your overhead remains the same. You just start losing money. So what you need to do is you always need to follow numbers, and basically base your growth off of principal things. So yes, I guess my biggest words of wisdom to someone who's 7 figures, 8 figures, even going for 9 figures, is that your business is doesn't matter that it's 7 or 8 or 9 figures. It's still the same old equation with a few constants. And all you have to do is you have to figure out what those constants are. And then, yeah, if you want to grow, if you're losing money, figure out what's leaking, what's in the red, fix that. If you want to grow, set yourself some new standards, and then make a plan to hit those new standards, and that's it, right? And every week, every month, you need to visit those numbers and make sure that you're staying on track and that shit actually gets executed and implemented, that you're hitting those benchmarks. Business is nothing but a process of setting standards and hitting standards, and that's it. It's just a number. It's a process of setting certain numbers as goals, and then hitting them. Because business is nothing but a string of numbers that just interact with each other, and kind of like lead to the greater end, which is revenue. That's it. So it's as soon as you really accept and this very simple truth, because business becomes a game again. It's like it's a game. It's not. It also becomes very visual. It becomes very tangible, because a lot of people, when they think about their business, they can't imagine something that like I feel like if you can't imagine something, then you can't really impact it, or you can't control it. But if you can imagine like just like 5, 6 things in a row or whatever, right, that interact with each other, it's like a soundboard. It's just so easy to manipulate it, right? But if it's all in your head, if it's not visual, then you can't really control it, can you? You can't. So you go from one gimmick to another, or you go worse yet, you go from what one of your employees or one of the managers is telling you to the other, and everybody is basically pulling their end of the blanket. And that's not a way to grow your business. So in 10 minutes, we have our actual client convo. So I think it's a perfect time to handle.
Yes, now the fun ends and the work starts, or it is all a game, and we are all enjoying it all along. Nazim,
100%.
thank you so much. Again, you have helped me to simplify the important things, making things more clear, more easy. Yeah, I really love what you said. The last 3 minutes were like pure gold on like understanding, visualizing what are the elements, to be able to focus on what really matters and impact that area.
Yeah.
That is all there is. Thank you so much. Everyone who is interested growing the business, I can highly recommend attending to the webinar. I will do my best, so you can say hello to me there. And now, Nazim, we will get back to work.
Yeah, thanks, Chris, for the opportunity to speak. Come and speak, and great questions. Appreciate that as well.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.